unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the OHNO radio show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, $1,000,000 if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
Welcome back to yet another edition of the OHNO Wrestling Podcast. My name is Owen. I am your Sharp Break Kid. I am your predictions champion, which may or may not come to an end, tonight, or, well, I guess this Sunday. But along with me this evening, it's my good friend Duncan, the King of Bong Style. And, of course, from Scranton, Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen, it's my good friend, the modern-day Maharaja Matthew. How you boys doing tonight? Don't forget to unmute yourselves. You guys all right?
Coming to you from the rootinest, tootinest, downright dirtiest. This is the worst town I've ever been in my life. And I hate this hotel, but I take it with strife because I'm going to take the title belt back this Sunday.
Oh.
You are not my champion. That's all I'm doing.
I don't know if we can have a president from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Hashtag not my champion.
Hashtag not my champion. No, I'm fucking around, obviously. I'm sorry. How many times do you think you have been to this particular hotel now?
Enough to earn gold status, enough to...
Over 20, under 50?
Oh, yeah, easily over 20.
Dude, he's done the show in that hotel probably more than he's done it in his home.
That's accurate.
I've done it... No, not over the course of the show, but recently.
But
yes.
since the reboot.
Yeah, since the reboot. So, I will say, hey, pro tip when you're traveling, and also the commercial at the beginning got me able to actually change into some sweatpants really quickly. But pro tip when you're traveling, travel with slippers.
Yeah, I'm a slipper guy.
I threw my slippers on. In a hotel room. Like, you don't want to be walking around this gross ass fucking floor. Like, no. Slippers just make you feel a little cozier.
Yeah, it makes it feel a little bit more like home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, one of the things.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say one of the things I wanted to open up with was kind of your thoughts, not necessarily about the Super Bowl, but how WWE has perceived what happened in the Super Bowl and how they plan on going forward with WrestleMania. And on top of that, I've seen a lot of people, of course, bitching about the Super Bowl halftime show, which I thought was as acceptable as any halftime show that's ever happened. But they're, maybe bitching about the artist or the mix or what have you. But praising the production value. And to me, the thought that crossed my mind, and I wanted to get both your opinions on both these kind of, complicated questions. But don't you think that if a lot of these people that are praising the production value of the Super Bowl halftime show would they not be perfect marks to see a WrestleMania? And how have they not seen a WrestleMania in the sense that it is one of the greatest produced shows, if nothing else, about WrestleMania? It's one of the best production values you can get in entertainment today. Do you understand like the two sort of questions I'm asking? I know it's convoluted, but what are your thoughts just in general?
I mean, from a gut reaction, from a basic standpoint, when I've taken people to wrestling that was not WrestleMania, like the things that first came out of their mouths were, oh my God, the production here is amazing. And that was for like a Raw and like, stuff like that, right? They're like, the production is amazing, right? And that's coming from someone who doesn't have a production background, like they're just blown away by how well it's put together. So imagine taking someone to a WrestleMania. When we went to WrestleMania, that was the only WrestleMania I've been to, but the production was amazing. It was huge. It was gigantic. It literally is larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes so many people to do that. I think it's a lot of people should take that. So I see what you're saying. Like people who are saying Super Bowl had amazing production. Yeah, take them, like have them watch a WrestleMania in front of a fucking live crowd of like 80, 90,000 people,
Especially if they're into that production value, if that's something that they enjoy, how are you not going to enjoy certain elements of Mania?
If you can separate yourself from Shakira and J-Lo last year or The Weeknd this fucking year or whatever and still appreciate production value, that means you appreciate production value and what's put into it. So even if you're not a fan of pro wrestling, take yourself out of it if you haven't watched WrestleMania or one of these big events and look at the production value. Mm-hmm. But I think being there live, especially for wrestling, when you see it on the scale that it's done at, like I said, taking someone brand new, like my friend Brett, like, a year and a half ago or whatever, 2 years ago, he was like, this production is insane. He's like, I can't believe how much, and that was a Monday Night Raw,
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but I think the thing is football and wrestling have two totally different
demographics
places. Well, no, they have their demographics are pretty like across the board. Like they've got a lot of the same crossover, but the NFL and WWE are treated so differently. Super Bowl is treated like a very important sport. WrestleMania is treated like a big spectacle, which it is, but it's less of, hey, this is the biggest event of the year. I think also partly because over the last few years, you haven't necessarily had the best matches or the best feuds leading into Mania. So it's hard to get people who already have a stigma about what pro wrestling is to set that aside and just go into it for the experience of it, right? Like it was like me watching the Royal Rumble with my mother-in-law and her boyfriend, and and just being like, just getting nothing but kind of shit talk. And just like, if you give it 5 minutes and just kind of set that bullshit in your head aside, right, and just watch it, you will be entertained.
Yes.
So I think that it's as much that, and it's as much as it is the stigma that wrestling still has, because as cool as it is, it's cool for people who it was cool for back when they were teenagers or younger kids. And so like it's cool, but it's cool to people who were into wrestling before, and like attracting those newer fans is still difficult to do. It's been happening a lot better over the last couple of years with AEW and NXT stepping up their games and
making it feel a little bit more fresh and new again. And
correct.
Yeah, I think that's a big point.
So I think if you can make the wrestling experience feel fresh, I think you'll continue to attract new things. And I think, unfortunately, as much as I might not get it because I'm an old ass man. I don't know what Bad Bunny is, but hey, I know that it's getting crazy social media attention.
It's getting a lot of eyes back on the product. So I mean, if you're from a business perspective, it's a very smart idea.
If it brings eyes to the product, and if it makes it so that more people get into wrestling and it gets bigger again, I'm not even going to be mad about it.
I'm with you. That being said, what do you think? You got to realize they said it in press releases. I believe it was Stephanie that they were going to be watching the Super Bowl very closely to see what they did, and sort of basing what their approach is kind of around it. So I'm of the impression that, and I didn't realize it, that when I saw the overhead shots of the Super Bowl, I really thought that there were legitimately more people in the audience than that were.
Yeah, because you messaged me and you're just like, the crowd looks insane.
I'm like, oh my God.
I will not lie. I have not seen a single thing of the Super Bowl at all.
And that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I was on a plane, so I couldn't even, and the pilot kept giving updates.
That's annoying if you're not a fan at all.
Seemed unnecessary.
Yeah, that's a little much.
I mean, we have internet if I really wanted to check. Regardless, when I landed, I missed halftime. By the time I got to the hotel, it was like halfway through the third quarter, and I saw it in the lobby on the bar TV, and was like, looks like Brady's gonna win it again. This is scripted.
Right.
It's like wrestling. The whole thing was scripted.
Right.
And then I was like, I gotta go pick up some food, so I ordered my food from across the street and went picked it up, and then it's like, I'll have a beer real quick while I'm waiting for the food and watch it. And so I kept saying, pay attention to the crowd, attention to the crowd. And the way they're moving and the way the camera is focused on the action and what's happening and the way that it moves, it looked like people
at full stadium.
A lot of people, full stadium, and a lot of people were
and
there.
I didn't realize they had as many cardboard cutouts as they had in the stands. So that there was apparently a decent amount of social distancing. It was still how many fans?
25,000.
25,000 in what around as we looked
76,000 capacity.
Sure. So, that is a drastic third. That is a drastic cutback. I'm glad that happened. I do wonder, of course, about all the there's probably a ton of people outside in the streets, and that's a whole different thing that they can't necessarily control 100%,
Right.
But you got to think that WWE, they're obviously going to try and eclipse that number. And what number do they try and achieve? And do they do the same thing because of how kind of good it looked and how full it did look with the cardboard cutouts? Do they do that?
The first thing that I'll say is that originally they were just like, we will not do cardboard cutouts. It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Then the Super Bowl happened and they're just like, we will probably charge you $100 and give you a cardboard cutout of WrestleMania.
Yeah, because that was part of the deal too with the Super Bowl, right? They were charging people $100 to get their cardboard cutout.
Yeah,
and then I think a lot of people did it because they got entered into a raffle to be able to buy tickets to the next Super Bowl, which are of course hard to get,
impossible to get. Yeah.
So I think that was part of the reasoning. If you're a super fan, you pay this money, you get your cardboard cutout, but you also get a chance to maybe get in for next year or something like that. WrestleMania, you could do literally exactly the same. You could do exactly the same type of thing because those tickets aren't easy to come by. I mean, great tickets. Anybody can kind of get a ticket to WrestleMania, but
I was going to say you can get it. It's not like the Super Bowl.
No, but to get a floor seat, at a reasonable price and in a good spot to get those, if you're willing to spend the money, it's still hard even if you're willing to spend the money to get.
But here's the thing though. We have seen the friends and family list for prices, and even those aren't great prices.
No, they are not. No, they are not.
Like I'm like, holy
weren't they like
shit, that's
1,800 or something for floor seats compared to like 2,500 or something in that
something.
realm.
So it's like good if you're going for that, but like when you started going up the tiers, like the friends and family, it's like, yeah, they want you to be able to. And I think what they're counting on is like talent buying floor seats for their friends and family.
Yeah.
They're also buying, I think a lot of them were packages with hotels and flights, and
that was
like,
a whole different thing.
That exists as well too.
It does exist, but like those are pricey, but just the internal WWE like friends and family list from our friend that used to work there.
Yep.
You know, and it was just like, hey, this is what but you had to like pay cash or some shit up. Like it was a ridiculous, like this is some weird money laundering shit.
Yeah, it wasn't appealing to either of us.
No, and I was just like, I would rather take my chances and get regular seats.
Yeah.
Than
Yeah.
I don't know,
but I can see them doing cardboard cutouts now. Is one of the
I mean, I see that, but then we've had this conversation. How would they end up doing? And I think it would look better. So I'm not saying they're doing this, but the last podcast we talked about, is there a way they would be able to do some sort of, and Duncan brought up with the rigging and stuff like that, you know, you couldn't really have these LEDs of people,
the
people in there
would
in between,
be tough.
you know, but like part of me thinks like, because they want to top the Super Bowl, they'd be like, well, instead of cardboard cutouts, we had fucking, you know,
yeah.
People. We had actually.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
See, they're like even what if they did a little bit of the two, right?
And that's what I think they'll do. They'll do a hybrid of the both. Like they'll like sort of where it's easier to do the cardboard cutouts, where they can make an impression.
Or maybe it's like one.
And
side,
on the hard cam side, right?
Hard cam is people, and then on the opposite side of the hard cam, it's all LEDs or something like that, where you actually. So then you're kind of getting both.
I think a lot of the floor space is going to have some LEDs around.
I think so too.
I don't know how many fucking LED panels are left in the state of Florida that aren't being used by WWE right now. So
they'll probably have to ship them in. But then again, at the same time, a lot of businesses aren't doing business. There might be more out there in the production world than we know, you know, like they're going to probably have to pull some up from Miami or do something like that.
They're not going to want to take anything out of the Thunderdome that they don't have to.
Right.
Because they're going to have to set up
the next day for Thunderdome. So you're right. They would have to almost essentially find an entirely new rig, which would be quite difficult like just because of the sheer amount of panels that they're using right now even just in the CWC, like there's a very good amount of panels just in there. So,
holy shit, there is. Yeah.
So just even, I mean, I theorize they could probably use those.
I'm sure they've been thinking about this, though.
I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they've been sourcing panels from all over. I would hope. Just knowing WWE, even if there wasn't a pandemic, like you said, even right now, knowing they have to set up the next night somewhere else, you know, and then having WrestleMania is just so big for them. You know, it's just
And if our high asses are thinking about it, then they're
definitely thinking about it.
They thought about it fucking months ago.
Right.
I will say this, just because we were talking about football and wrestling really quickly. Last night when I got to this hotel room, I turned on the TV and Raw was on. I caught the last 40 minutes of Raw while I was unpacking and, you know, like hanging stuff on hangers and shit like that. And then what's Stone Cold's new show called? Like, it's not coming up.
Straight Up Steve Austin.
Straight Up Steve Austin came on, right? And so I watched the whole episode.
With Brett Favre. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, did you watch the beginning?
I watched the beginning, and I think that Brett Favre is kind of a piece of shit. So, like, he seems like he's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, I don't really care, but either way,
But it's genius marketing, like to have that the next day after the Super Bowl to have a big football star on there.
It's very true. But what I thought, and I don't know if you noticed this, but I would recommend. I would just ask the both of you just watch the first 5 minutes of that episode to see if I'm crazy or not, because I actually like watched this.
Okay.
And like this is gonna sound really bad because he goes into how he had an opiate addiction and like how it almost ruined his career and his relationships and stuff like that before '96 when he tried to get sober 3 times. He talks about it in the truck with Stone Cold. Spoiler alert. But
spoiler alert.
But he's sitting there and like his eyes were like, and I was like, there's like nothing. Is there anything going on behind those eyes? Did you get hit in the head?
Yeah, no, I
bro.
saw that.
Right, dude.
Yes,
it was like,
I did see that.
I was really weirded out. Like, is there anything going on behind there? And then I saw Steve Austin, and who I fucking love. We all do, right? And like, I was just like, God damn, man, you are kind of an old man now, huh?
Right.
Like, and so it was like, I was like, this is. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because that would have been bad. But I'm like, there's someone sitting here with like nothing going on behind their eyes in this truck. And then you got Steve out. And I'm like, this old man. I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
It's 2 old men yelling at clouds.
Exactly. And I was like, and every sentence, Steve Austin's like, like, I'm like, you're like forcing this fucking out, dude. I was like, and he's just sitting there like, I don't know. The whole thing was a little weird.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
I got a weird vibe from Brett Favre, like he's been, and that's not to make a joke, but to say that like it did seem like he's been fucking sacked quite a few times. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't follow football in his career, but
he played for a long time. Law of large numbers. He got hit in the head a lot.
It was just really, I don't know. I just wanted to say that because I did watch it last night, and I was just like, I got a weird feeling in that first little bit of the episode when they were saying, and I just like kept seeing his face, and then the way Steve Austin was doing, I was like, man, Stone Cold, man, really? Can't you just always be just young Stone Cold,
Dude,
fucking
he doesn't
people
look
off and
so old on the WWE network either. Like when he's doing this Broken Skull sessions and all that, like he looks old, but he doesn't look that old. But then you see
just because
him
he's
like,
in one spot maybe or something, or like
maybe
I don't know what it is.
Like, dude, but anytime like he posts on his Instagram and he's wearing like the camo or the fucking like, I'm just like, you're 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like just old man Texas over here.
Yeah.
You know, so, and not that we like I say, we love Stone Cold, but
we love fucking Stone Cold.
But goddamn, but it's hard to watch your heroes get old.
It is.
Right?
The worst really for me has always been watching Sean. I mean, just Sean with no hair is still not
fucking
right. Like what fucking
Sean.
droopy, like
I saw it in person,
Sean.
and it followed me out of like he left the room, and the eye followed me. Like it stayed on me the whole time.
It's disturbing. I do appreciate bald or like shorn head Sean more than I do when he had like just like he was trying out like for a little while there. Remember he had like the just a short haircut. Like, and he was trying to disguise it.
You can't. He did. Yeah.
You just got to go all the way.
You got to do what Duncan did. You just fucking go all. You just
Duncan did it right.
Take it down, man. Like,
take it down. Like, who the fuck? Like, I'm not. If that happens to me, I'm not trying to kid anyone.
Absolutely not.
Right. Head.
Well, and it's like when Triple H started going bald. Like he lets it grow in a little bit, but like you can see that widow's peak is like way up here on the top of his head. So he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna fucking buzz it down. So sometimes you gotta just accept that. And
I mean, Braun just did, but you know who did let it go too long? Corbin. I think we can all Baron Corbin let it go too long.
He did.
Jesus Christ,
he did.
That would have been like, it's like, bro, you have 6 strands that are just hanging on up.
Yeah.
You just hope.
You're just hoping. Yeah, it's gonna fill in.
It's not making you look any more metal, bro. Like. Just fucking take it down.
Take it down, man.
If you don't mind, I want to switch gears because we occasionally I like to kind of switch back and forth. And I know today we opened up more with a WWE style, intro, but last week we did that as well and didn't get into enough of, I think, AEW talk. So I think we'll maybe come back to the WWE at the end of the show if you don't mind.
We'll have to because we'll have to do predictions.
Exactly. But I think right now would be a good time to talk about what happened in the AEW world, of course, since our last show, which is huge. I mean, the top of the list is literally Kenta and the Forbidden Door. And how do we not talk about that right off the bat? is the Forbidden Door open? It is like, I mean, if you haven't seen it, then you're, sleeping under a rock, because obviously it was the biggest news in wrestling really all week that Kenta showed up on AEW Dynamite and attacked Jon Moxley, as they have a match on New Japan Strong for the U.S. title, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Which is their U.S.-based show.
Correct.
And Kenta also, Kenta lives in Orlando.
Does he still?
He does.
Oh, wow.
He does.
Okay.
So I think what this is that the old boss of New Japan, who recently retired, was the one sort of holding all of this back. He was the one that didn't want to let, and also because they didn't want to be seen as jumping in with an unknown entity in the form of AEW in case it crashed and burned.
Which
and
is
it was
fair at the time. No one knew.
Face,
no one knew.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So now that they have proven themselves as a viable contender, I think that they have both parties, AEW and New Japan, and this is pure speculation from my brain and a lot of bong resin. They're that they came together and they realized that there is more money to be made working together, and their audiences stand to grow so much working together than they ever would working independently of each other
and fighting each other and trying to steal each other's audiences.
Fuck it. Put eyes on everything. Make it so that oh shit. Because I forgot that Moxley was the United States champion for New Japan.
I think we all did,
right?
I think that's kind of because of COVID as well.
Sure, but
didn't he win it, lose it, and then win it back?
And then he won it back, but he couldn't get back over to Japan.
That's what
it because he was actually scheduled to. Kenta was the contender, and he was actually scheduled for a match, I believe.
Right.
And he couldn't get back over there because of COVID. So
obviously,
this is definitely the way to do that. But I mean, business is business, and what's best for business? I mean, we're not talking about WWE here, but it is what's best for business. And AEW proving themselves, like you guys just said, it wasn't unknown. They've now solidified themselves as a legitimate promotion. And with that legitimacy, they've now opened the doors with Impact and a cross promotion. And now, I mean, it seems stupid to not do it with New Japan. And the way, like we said, we already talked about it, and the way that they're doing the things with Bullet Club, and then you have Tama Tonga and things it can lead to all of these matches that's going to get eyes. You don't have to do those matches on AEW. You don't have to do them on Dynamite. You don't have to do them on an AEW pay-per-view. You can do them on a New Japan, and you can bring in all of the Japanese audiences and all of the Japanese fans. You can, it's that I think is where I think if we start watching really and where they put these matches, we're going to start understanding where they know where fans loyalties lie and where they're trying to draw people in. This is going to be actually just from a business perspective, and not even just a wrestling perspective, but just business, watching how they're looking at markets and how they're promoting matches and bringing people in and things like that, I think is going to be one of the most interesting things of this, because this is all a business. And it is, while it is a business, it is also for the fans, but they're also playing off the fans one and off each other in order to gain more eyes on the product. So it's going to be really interesting to watch and see where they place these matches and feuds.
I would be remiss to mention the fact too as well that last week we forgot to really discuss the eccentricities, I'll just say, of the Good Brothers on their appearance on Dynamite. Not this last week, but the weeks, I guess it would have been last week's, right? No, it was the week before. It was the week before.
Last week was
but we forgot to mention it on our last Tuesday's show, which was before the kind of the Bash at the Beach thing. So if you haven't heard a lot about that, that was just hilarious to me. How it was the most heavily edited match of all of AE Dynamite's history. Not that it's that long, but that they, God damn it, Gallows and Anderson, they're, smoking weed, fake weed,
right?
Handing it off,
passing
to each
it
other, rolling,
and then passing it to the Bucks.
Yeah, putting it out. Like I think the whole thing, jerking off, doing excessive crotchetal displays.
It was just so. It's like, what are you doing?
What are you guys doing?
You're still on national TV.
Yeah, but it was hilarious to me, and it only furthers the point that like these guys have all the ties as well. There's something brewing, especially with the Impact, Good Brothers, Kenny, New Japan thing. It's gotta materialize because fans are actually gonna get a little bit mad if it doesn't. It's at this point, you've sown those seeds. Don't give us blue balls.
I think they're gonna let it go a little bit longer.
I think so too.
They're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep edging you a little bit. I know that was last week's episode was edging till WrestleMania, but
they're gonna keep Edgemania.
Yeah, the road to Edgemania. But they're gonna keep. It's gonna be a slow blow on that one. I think just because they know the payoff on it is gonna be so big.
And I think that's one of those ones that you really need to wait until there's more fans back. Like you need to wait.
It's a fan thing.
It is a fan thing because the fan reaction drives how big the story is.
Yep.
That's why a lot of the returns at the Rumble weren't necessarily as big as they could have been is because there weren't any fans there to pop for it.
Yeah, why bother type thing. Let's save it. Let's save it for a better time.
Yeah.
Well, when every night is Legends Night,
It is. Every night is Legends Night.
Rocky Romero did do an interview that I've heard, and he has talked and opened up a little bit about that relationship between, he hinted, of course, at something that's end up being booked with Kenta showing up next week at AEW Dynamite or tomorrow. So that's
next week, tomorrow. It's all the same.
It's all it is.
Our weeks start on Wednesdays.
It's our weeks start on Wednesdays, exactly.
Yeah.
But apart from that, he was,
we should make shirts that say that.
That's not a bad idea. At least stickers.
Trademark ONW.
Yeah, trademark. Our weeks start. Oh, I'm writing that down.
Write it down.
Start on Wednesday. Our weeks start on Wednesday. Yeah.
Fucking A. We finally came up with a good idea for merch.
Right. But he doesn't. He doesn't allude to a lot. But the question was asked, like, do you think the Good Brothers will go over to New Japan? And he's just like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's almost like a guarantee at this point that that happens.
And I rewatched what was it? Countdown to Fucktown.
Yep.
The other day it came up on my YouTube feed.
Sure.
I was just like, yeah, well, I'll watch that.
I'm bored.
I got some time.
I'm high.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm stoned. I really don't feel like playing video games right now, so let's fucking do it. So I was watching it, and they were definitely talking about like their Impact deal has a clause that allows them to go to Japan. So it's just like, that was only a matter of time anyway. So
and Anderson in particular, I think really wants to, because like that was like the prime of his career. That's where he did his
Anderson
best work.
Was so over.
And super over. Exactly. So you've got to imagine that he wants to relive that. And again, that's cheapened without a real big crowd. Like he wants to do it at the Tokyo Dome in front of however many fucking 90,000 fans or whatever ridiculous thing it is.
Who wouldn't want to?
Exactly. And good on him for doing that. I will say though, like staying of course on the Beach Bash thing, apart from Kenta, it was a bit of a letdown. And AEW has maybe it's just in a rebuilding of storyline phase right now, but the last few Dynamites haven't been that great.
I think we jinxed them because right before they started getting bad, we were saying how good they had consistently been. And we had also made the comments of, we like that they are announcing, which I still like. I will say, I won't speak for you all, but that they announce a, main event. And so you have something to look forward to, this sort of thing. But to your point, Owen, I agree. They haven't been that great. And does seem like it's maybe this kind of rebuilding storyline, trying to figure out what's working, what's not, while trying to kind of end or kind of change some storylines, like the
let's
wedding.
Just say
and like
the wedding was glad you brought that up. The wedding was stupid. It wasn't funny. It didn't really it didn't hit home.
No, everything about that was dumb as shit.
It fell flat on its fucking face.
And I love the best friends. I love Miro. I literally apart from really Kip Sabian, I kind of like every single person involved in this storyline. Yet it just isn't clicking. For some reason, this is just not working at all, and they need to get out of it. They need to get out of it as soon as they can and move on to somewhere else for literally every party involved.
Yeah, this is where they could take a fucking page out of WWE's book and just drop something.
Yeah.
And forget that the thing ever fucking happened, never bring it up, let the fans talk about it, and they never fucking talk about it.
And the thing that's really bothersome for me with the whole thing, it's just I still come back to that first AEW press conference when they're just like Joey Janela and Penelope Ford or All Elite. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, it's just her and Kip Sabian, and then they're getting married. And I'm like, what in the actual fuck is going on?
It was never acknowledged, and maybe because it's too real life, maybe they just didn't want to dip too deep into those holes or something, dip their toes into that.
I'm sure that's what it is.
But realistically, you have a built-in storyline there that Joey Janela should have crashed the wedding and been the bad boy and then looked like a fucking $1 million. You get all the eyes on him, and you can do a Kip Sabian Joey Janela feud. You can do a Miro Joey Janela feud.
Right.
Now you've got those seeds sown. Now you've got the ability. I know Joey has Sonny Kiss as his tag team partner, but if you really wanted to, with what they've been doing with the Best Friends and Cassidy, now you can have Joey and Cassidy versus Kip Sabian and Miro. That all works. No problem. But you've got to do something, and you've got to do it quick. Otherwise, all four of those parties are going down. And this has hurt Orange more than it's helped him. That's what I'm pissed about.
And apparently Kip is, he's my least favorite out of anyone involved in this, but he's apparently injured also, which isn't helping because he can't perform in ring. Yeah, so I did read that. I'm not sure. Don't take it as gospel. I don't know how true, but I did.
No. I just retweeted it on the Twitter that I don't have.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, it went out to all your followers too.
Yes.
No, I 100% agree. And it has hurt Orange, but then we'd also had those conversations and had wondered, and I'd like to know what you guys think. If it wasn't this, and I wish it wasn't, but we also, or at least I didn't know where he went from where he was. What did he do next? Because we had the question, we talked about, do we see him as a champion? And we'd now seen him in matches where he's full throttled, right?
Yep.
We've seen him, and then we've seen him do his gimmick. He can't just fall back just on the gimmick, right? He can't just always be full throttle. So there has to be a balance of him just doing the gimmick and doing gimmick and full throttle, right? But where does he lie if there isn't a belt or a storyline at a mid to upper card that gets him there? And so let's just say this didn't happen, right? Let's say this did not happen whatsoever. How would you guys have booked it?
That's a tough question. With Cassidy in particular?
Yeah, just for Cassidy.
For Cassidy?
Obviously no wrong answers.
I think that he should have been entered into the TNT title picture, but not win.
Yeah. I think he and Darby should have had a short program.
Yeah.
I think those two could really have a good match or two, like a just a good short series. And like, this is the thing, is
I think the him and kind of like MJF thing was abandoned quick as well. And I think that you could have extended some of that stuff beyond like what happened with Jericho and what have you. I think you could have maybe made use of it that way.
I think, unfortunately, for me, it feels like they blew the push on Cassidy with nowhere to go once they got the momentum rolling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I say that as like I didn't just buy the fucking Orange Cassidy shirt at Hot Topic.
We all still love him. We all still love him. We all
we do, but like, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
And when you're not getting that, like, sort of when the
juice isn't flowing.
Squeezed, yeah.
I mean, if it's not fresh, if the juice is not freshly squeezed,
this is
then,
what I'm saying.
You know, it's just sitting in the fridge.
Let's take them off TV and make some more juice a little bit down the line. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, I think they did such a good job, and he did such a good job that, I mean, I think you guys are 100% right. Like, you could have done an MJF thing, but the thing with him and Darby would have worked well because, like, I don't know, like Brian Cage and Darby, I said it didn't work for me just because Darby Allin's just getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Cage is too big. He was just beating the shit out of him. And like, they let that happen. That was part of the storyline. Not that it's like insanely believable that Darby Allin's size is going to take on someone, you know, but like, he literally did just beat the shit out of him.
Right.
Like he threw him around like a fucking rag doll like he has in the past, which didn't help. But if you have someone like Orange and someone like Darby, you know, and you have them, that's a believable match. That I can see those two going back and forth. And one's more hardcore, one doesn't give a fuck. He thinks it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, but can go in the moment. That's a great way to build a match and have people like. Yeah. You know, have two athletes go with one another and like build that story, you know.
The other thought that I had though too is especially because in recent weeks Trent got injured, so why have we not even had just Cassidy and fucking Chucky T like work tag matches and stuff?
I mean, they can, but they're gonna end up on Dark or in that.
But that's okay though. That's not taking him completely out of the equation, and then but it's still keeping him sort of around. I don't know.
But like, dude, I don't watch Dark. Like, I don't know.
I will on occasion. I will on occasion.
Sure, but
some of them are like 4 hours long, so I don't watch all of that. But
yeah, which we talked about, which is Tony Khan doesn't want to send anyone home without, you know, having wrestled and gotten something for that paycheck. You know, he doesn't want to he wants them to have
he doesn't want to pay people to just be there, which
he wants them to have exposure too.
Yeah.
That's the only
which
thing.
I totally get.
But I don't watch it, to your point, Duncan and Ando, and I don't either watch it religiously either or anything. Like, literally, it is something that I throw on in the background if I'm like cleaning or like just doing random shit that like I don't have to pay attention. I can just look over.
It's a good one if you hear about a new wrestler that's getting a lot of buzz and you want to go back and just check up. Oh, let me just find a match, you know, that he's had in AEW. I've done that with a couple of guys where like, oh, okay, like, yeah, he's had a match on Dark. I'll look that up and I will, and I'll find it. And like, I'll maybe watch a match or two here or there, but I'm not watching the whole show. Like, typically,
I can't say I've ever watched anything on Dark.
Oh, really?
100%.
You would actually kind of get a kick though too, Duncan, of the commentary between Taz and Excalibur, because the two of them just bust on each other the whole match, and like that, like that's one of the best things. It's one of the best things about Dark is honestly Excalibur and
Taz. I mean, I believe that. It's just one of those things where it's not that I go out of my way not to watch it.
Sure.
It just doesn't. hardly ever pops up, or like I'll never catch it when it's premiering or whatever. So I don't know. It's again out of sight, out of mind. And plus, like,
there's so much
watch
wrestling.
a lot of wrestling.
There's so much wrestling.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we do have someone who's been on Dark now joining Nightmare Club.
I wanted to
fiance.
mention. I wanted to mention that too. I wanted to talk about that in just a second, but just while we were on the topic of like Orange Cassidy, what we should do with him, it completely relates to our Facebook question of the week from Deuce. And Deuce sends in that's absolutely related, so I figured why not bring it up now. He says BTE Chris Statlander, like on BTE Chris Statlander and Cassidy, there is a thing, like it's a, you know, maybe a budding romance or something like that. Do you think joining best friends would help get her over? I think it might help with Trent for a while. Thoughts? I'm not the biggest Chris Statlander fan, but at this point, if Chris Statlander and Cassidy and Orange Cassidy did something together, I feel like that would be an improvement upon his involvement with the wedding Miro Sabian stuff. So
she's got to drop the alien gimmick.
I can't have an alien and a fucking slacker together.
He fucking hates. You hate him. I hate her, don't you?
I fucking hate her. I always have.
Yeah.
You guys tried to what was that orange or fucking purple flash that just came up on your
I don't know. That was an alien.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I was like, are you a fucking
That's Chris Statlander?
Yeah, like, but we've talked about it on previous podcasts, and I was never a fucking fan. Like, something about it just never fucking, like, the gimmick just didn't get, like, I couldn't get past the gimmick to actually like even appreciate any of her wrestling or anything else. Like, it just didn't hit me, and it's one of those things. I think we all have it.
I'm with you.
Certain like certain gimmicks just rub you the wrong way, and that one, it didn't even necessarily rub me the wrong way. It just like made me be like,
rub you
yeah. It's just like fucking, yeah.
It's interesting.
And now that
it should have probed me.
Well, and now that she's not even wrestling, she annoys me even more, because like the redeeming quality was that she is a good wrestler, and now it's just like, shut the fuck up.
You're annoying. Yeah. Everybody's got those people, and I was talking.
It was in my notes from last week that I hate Chris Statlander.
It's interesting. My friend Daniel Dennis of A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan and A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. He's sort of a casual wrestling fan, and he texted me this week that this was his first week watching AEW. He'd never seen a single lick of AEW before this last week with Beach Bash. I'm like, you picked a.
Why did you watch
that? Oh, the wrong show. You know, like it's the wrong show.
Well, and to go on that. Actually to talk about that. So the Beach Bash thing. This leads me to, they said they were going to do less pay-per-views from the beginning. We knew this. And to your point, which kind of started this conversation on AEW, and I feel like we've just been shitting on them
a little bit, but hey, at least we're not like complete marks for AEW. Like,
we've spent more than enough time sucking off AEW.
Yeah, we have, but we are being critical, and I think we should be, and as fans, we're allowed to be. But I think that this is another thing that's gotten me, is like the whole Winter is Coming thing was great, and that was awesome. But I'm thinking they're now relying too much on these branded shows instead of a pay-per-view.
The branded Dynamites.
Branded Dynamite, right? Like, and so it's like they can't all be that great.
Just make an average episode of Dynamite great.
Make an average episode of Dynamite great, and stick to your 4 pay-per-views. If you feel like you got to add a fifth, I'm totally cool with that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
But like, that allows you to build the storylines and start new storylines in between those, as opposed to, I feel like they're now trying to rush storylines and things like that by making Dynamite bigger than it is, because they had all of that success with Winter is Coming, right?
Yeah, so they did Beach
I don't know.
Bash.
100%
I don't know
agree.
if
What
that's true.
they didn't last year? They did Fighter Fest, or was that the year before?
They've had two
Like-
Fighter
They
Fests.
did 2 Fighter Fests. And,
Okay.
But I feel like the Winter is Coming was the catalyst that I think we're going to start seeing more of these now.
Yeah.
Because
No, I think you're
because
absolutely
It's
now
right.
gimmicky.
seeing like Beach Bash, it started becoming gimmicky. Like, oh, instead of a pay-per-view, we're doing this on cable, right? We're doing it on cable. So if you have cable, we're doing it for free.
If you're gonna do it, it has to be really pay-per-view quality. That's the
Right.
catch.
Well, yeah,
you can't do a regular episode of Dynamite or even a subpar episode of Dynamite, to be honest, and then like make it into this big event, because then it lessens the value of the whole thing.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do something if you're going to make a huge event out of 1 Dynamite or 2 Dynamites a year, do it the way you did Winter is Coming. But you don't have to do it every month. You don't have to do it every few weeks. You do it once a year, twice a year, and you make it special because you're in the interim, or you want to change storylines, you want to end something and start something else prior to the next big pay-per-views or something like that. Like, use it as a tool in your toolbox so that like you can create a catalyst for change within your promotion and within the storytelling, as opposed to just relying on it as a gimmick, as you guys just said.
It's an oversaturation thing, and the big part I wanted to just like, before we move too far ahead, was that was my buddy Dan's first time watching, and his big takeaway is, what the fuck is this Jungle Express? Like, Jungle Boy, fucking Luchasaurus? What am I, a fucking baby? Those were his words. Like, what?
Yeah, if
what
you're
is,
bitching
what is
about
this
it, you're a
shit?
baby.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, I was the same way when I first saw both of them. Like, come on, this is a little bit too on the nose. But I think we all know that once you see them wrestle, once you get past the tongue-in-cheek style of everything that's going on, you love them. And
they back it up with the wrestling.
It takes a little bit of time to to get these things. He says that he did enjoy certain aspects of the show, and that's always interesting from a lifelong kind of like casual WWE fan watching it for the first time, seeing how they will like adapt to the the AEW sort of like stylings. And,
which is very different than WWE.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So it's one of those. It's just like, you got to keep at it. You'll get there. I promise you. Like, it will get you. It will get you. The other thing that I think that Matthew was alluding to earlier was that the Nightmare family has added multiple people over the last couple of days, according to Cody's Twitter. I say multiple. I think it's just the 2. I think it's 2,
which is multiple.
Yeah,
but...
I guess you're right. So Aaron Solow, is that who he was referring to as Bailey's? I did not know that. That's Bailey's fiance. Is that what he said?
He was also in Dojo.
That's her
he was
fiance.
in Dojo Pro, which was on.
I did not know that. I don't know much. I don't know much about him. Do you?
He was a cruiserweight in the cruiserweight.
Yeah, he was in the CWC. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I guess he's in there. Like I said, I've not seen much of him. I'm assuming I don't really get why. But then you've got Nick Comoroto, who I have seen. That's a big bastard that I think there's a lot of potential with this guy. I've seen that. I've definitely seen some potential in Nick Comoroto. Am I saying that right?
I don't have any
close
idea.
enough. Have you seen who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, like, I don't know, maybe this is just me,
Mm-hmm.
but Nightmare Family expanding like this without the storylines to back it up just seems like
weird,
excessive. Like, it seems very weird. It seems like way too large of a stable. I mean, right now you have Cody Rhodes, Brandy Rhodes, DDP, Arn Anderson, Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, Lee Johnson, Nick Comoroto, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, and now Aaron Solo.
Yeah, did you see the quote?
Like, what
the
the fuck
NWO?
Have I ever seen? Yeah, have I ever seen all of them together in a ring?
Maybe
God, it would fill up the entire ring.
Lumberjack match or something. But Cody did post I think this was a tweet. I know this is a quote. He's like, Cody on the Nightmare Family. It's not a routine wrestling faction. More an ensemble of focused individuals, some who train at the factory together, who just have a singular focus over the sport. Authentic relationships, not always together, but ready when the call comes, and will have your back. That's what Cody has said about the Nightmare Family and what
Shut up, nerd.
is.
That helps explain it, I guess.
But
it still doesn't do anything for the brand for me.
Sort of zoned out while you were talking about it, because I'm just like, that's just such a dumb
way to sell it.
Yeah,
it's very politician shit too.
Yeah, it's very politician. It means, hey, I'm trying to get you to care about something without it having a reason to fucking care about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
it and in that way, it's not the NWO. You know, in that way, like, at least at its worst, you cared about how cool the brand was of the NWO.
Well, yeah,
because they were like this gang, you know, essentially. Like,
until they added like
Buff Bagwell. And,
you leave the stuff alone.
Virgil, I don't know.
No. We can shit on Virgil.
I actually have and we don't have to talk about it on the podcast, but I will send you guys this. So I actually just recently got a picture sent to me from when I was a kid.
What, is Virgil sending you nudes again?
Yeah, he was. No, it was when I was a youngin', and I spent forever like making this Kevin Nash. Like, everyone like holds up the fucking like poster board, right?
Yeah.
And just speaking of NWO, this made me think of it. But so I spent forever, because I was going to WCW Monday Nitro. I don't know if it was Kevin Nash versus Goldberg. I think it may have been the Hollywood Hogan versus Goldberg.
Oh, wow.
I think it was that one.
Okay.
But I was so into Kevin Nash.
Was it at the Georgia Dome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so into Kevin Nash that I fucking like literally like I got instead of the poster board, I got the thicker, like the
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about?
The foam core.
Yeah, the foam core. And I made like a half of like.
You have shown me this before, I think.
I just got this picture. I don't think
I feel like
seen it.
Maybe it's a different one, but I feel
I feel like this is something that has made it.
I'm texting it because someone just the kid in the photo with me just sent me this fucking picture like the other day. I'm sending it to you guys right now, and we're all about to go to Nitro. And it's Matthew with his backwards hat, and I drew this. I spent like fucking 20 hours drawing this Kevin Nash, and he actually looked at it and nodded at me, and I was so excited. So now I want.
That's a good Nash, dude. You drew that.
That's really good.
And now I want to see the picture.
Wow.
And so I want to put that picture of me next to the one of when I got the picture when Duncan and I went to fucking Bankhead, and I'm like giving him the too sweet, and I'm like,
tweet it at him. Little
fucking baby Matthew with Kevin Nash, and then Matthew with real Kevin Nash as a fucking adult.
Yeah.
Like, I still got this holding your fucking belt.
That's fucking rad. Yeah, tweet that at him. That's cool as hell.
We did some friends of mine, we went to a Monday Night Raw, and there were 8 of us, and Booker T was at the height of his popularity at the time, so we made a sucka sign. And each one of us had a letter.
Oh, it was a letter?
So it was SUCKAAAAA.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Did it, and like Booker T like did the whole like at the end of the did the whole at the end of the match, he nodded, pointed it. So it's like when you get those moments, you're just like, fuck yes.
Did I ever tell? I know I've told my story with Gold Dust. I was apparently like a homophobic little kid, and I made a gay dust sign, and then he spit on me.
And you deserved it.
And I deserved every bit of it. You know what's interesting too, sticking on AEW though, Arn Anderson on his podcast made an interesting comment. Have you guys either of you heard of this? What he just mentioned this past week?
In regards to what?
So I will read it, but it's kind of cryptic, and a lot of people maybe are reading too much into it, but are also thinking this.
Wrestling fans would never read too much into anything.
Never read into anything and never speculate. Wrestling fans would never speculate.
Nope, we have never once speculated on this show.
Yeah.
There's literally a whole Reddit called Fantasy Booking, which is just speculation.
Yeah, never speculated wildly on
anything. Arn Anderson, this is a quote from his podcast saying, "There's something happening pretty soon on AEW. It will change my life 100%. It will change that individual's life 100% as far as building a new tag team for the future. That may be the first building block. We'll just sit on that for now. There are some plans in the works."
Another wedding.
No, you know what it is? AEW presents Legends Night.
Legends Night. You're right. It is. It's another Legends Night. Yes.
All right. So take back everything I said about like having like a special episode of Dynamite, because if you're bringing back Legends Night,
I am fucking in.
Yeah.
Obviously, this pulls up flags for 4 Horsemen, right? Like that's what.
Sure, but is Arn also so good at working people that he?
And they've been teasing this for a while now. We've seen them tease like the 4, like
and even a Revival do the 3.
Yeah.
I was gonna do the Shocker, but it's actually.
I don't think
I did the Shocker. I think. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's the Matt Hardy V1.
Oh well, I don't know.
I don't think they would do it without a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's sort of my thinking on it as well. It's just like you don't waste that.
Yeah, I mean, it does lead to speculation, though. I mean, because he talks about a tag team. I mean, if you're gonna do 4 Horsemen, you have to include FTR, right? Like, if that is almost a given at this point, one would assume.
One would assume, but is it?
But is it? And maybe that's the twist. Maybe you have.
Is he M. Night Shyamalan-ing us?
If you're doing 4 Horsemen and you're not including Tully and Arn as part of that 4,
which I don't think you would. I think it would have to be like
they can be managed by him.
Yeah, but that's the way that JJ was.
Sure.
Right? Like James J. Dillon was the manager of the 4 Horsemen. Mm-hmm. So there were always 5 of them, but only 4 actual horsemen. He was the
But they could do 6 essentially and have Tully and Arn.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter as long as the 4 wrestlers.
It's the wrestlers. It's the core 4 wrestlers that matter. So you need in my mind, it's always been FTR.
Yep.
Cody.
Yep.
And for a minute there, it was just like maybe Shawn Spears, but I don't think Shawn Spears.
I think you're dead on that one. I'm very interested to see who you pick as your 4th right now. Can we do all 3 of us? We'll do a 3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
Do you agree that Cody would probably be in it, Matthew? Because I agree with Matthew on that. Sorry, Duncan on that. So we'll do a 3, 2, 1, and we'll all say who we think it would be as the 4th. 1, 2, 3. Hangman
Lance Archer.
Hangman, exactly.
Okay, all right. So me and Duncan went Hangman. You went Lance Archer. Wow, that's an interesting. Too. I haven't thought about that at all. Let's go there first. Let's talk about that. That's I don't hate it, and it would really help him.
It would really help him. You're again, then Jake and Arn. You kind of have some, you know what I'm saying, like something there. But you have Cody, and you have this like corporate, like amazing wrestler who can do things, and then you add someone like Lance Archer to that side who's not part of a tag team that can be extremely fucking dominant, like FTR. And I think after what's happening with Lance Archer and Kingston and things like I'm just trying to think about what Lance Archer does next, because he's not just going away. People aren't going to forget about him. And how does that work? And like,
I just think they're moving him too much closer to the face side of things as of late, that I like. The Four Horsemen needs to be a heel stable with comedic elements. And Lance Archer doesn't necessarily meet those requirements in my mind.
What if?
And I also like the elite. I also like the. Sorry, Duncan. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I just had a thought. What if Kenny Omega is the new Ric Flair of the stable?
I don't know that that's necessary though, with everything that Kenny's got going on.
I don't know that it is either.
He could do it if he didn't have what he has going on.
What about
now? I 100% see what fucking Duncan's saying though.
Yeah.
I think, and I know you're not saying if he doesn't have what he's got, but in my mind, if he doesn't have the storyline and everything that he has going on right now with the cross promotions and such, I 100% can see what Duncan's saying, that he is kind of that new Ric Flair, that fucking attitude, that like freestyling, wilding, fucking,
you need somebody with the gold. Like you need gold in the
you need the fucking best in the goddamn world.
That's it. And Cody wants to be it. Thought.
What if MJF ends up being that Ric Flair, destroys the inner circle from within? This is a plan the whole time. Ends up as part of the Four Horsemen. He's got the diamond ring. He's the MJF character. That's your Ric Flair right there.
It could absolutely work. That, I think, eliminates Cody from the equation.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of people to tear down.
What do they all hate though? The Elite.
But Cody doesn't hate the Elite
unless he turns heel. And then, Cody's been very distant from the Elite for a long time. Like
Cody has also been very sort of absent from TV for a while.
Maybe it's not Cody, and maybe that's the thing that we're missing.
That's what I feel like.
Maybe that's the swerve. That's the thing they want us to believe. That it's fucking Cody.
Dusty's greatest enemy was the Four Horsemen.
Right.
So, you do have that in that ballpark as well. So
then, what if it's Hangman and MJF?
I'm so down with a Hangman, MJF,
FTR
faction. That would work so well.
I just got half-masked.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's what we were going for the whole time.
I just don't think
it only took an hour.
Although it would work
I require a lot.
Although it would both work like you just said, both of you just said, and I agree with you. I just don't think it is Kenny Omega. I think that there's there's so much of another story going on with that right now that it's unnecessary. It would seem like a waste of one story for another, and you're pouring all your eggs into one basket or whatever the fuck the thing is.
I completely agree with that.
I think you collect eggs into the basket.
It was literally just a thought that I had, because you need that sort of you need the man. Who's the man in that? And that would be MJF. Have MJF be the arrogant prick heel. Fucking Hangman needs something. Dark Order needs something.
Yeah, which leads us back to the very beginning of what Owen was saying when we started talking about AEW is are they in this transitionary period, which I think we've fully established they are.
They have to be.
But they need to fucking figure out what the fuck is happening, and I'm sure they have a better idea than us speculating, which we don't do.
And are not doing currently.
Absolutely not. We would never
speculating wildly.
No.
But I think this proves the point of how you started this conversation, Owen, is that we they're at a point where these new storylines and these new factions and these new, stories need to be starting to be told, because they went through a period where they had so much that was so good, and those storylines all kind of came to an end, and they came to an end around a similar time. And now I don't know if they've been trying to see what works or what hasn't worked, or if they've had a plan in mind and this has just been filler.
But the stagnancy is evident.
Yeah, it's definitely evident.
Moving on, we have to at least talk a little bit before we get to our predictions. We've got to talk a little bit about WWE, unless there's anything major that you guys want to talk about AEW related before we move on.
I don't have anything AEW related, but did you guys see that GCW announced that they're going to be running their Mania Week events?
Yeah,
really.
There's like 10 of them or something too, right?
Yeah, so it's called the Collective Remix, and
all in Tampa or around the
Ybor
area.
City.
Oof, wow.
All at the Cuban Club in Ybor.
And they'll get away with it because Florida be Florida.
That does not sound like a place where you would get coronavirus.
Well, they're limiting everything to 20% capacity.
Okay.
Masks will be required, and there is a socially distanced seating chart. But it's 3 days long, and it looks like there's 10 events total.
I mean, if it's 20% and they are following protocols and people want to go, I'm for it, for the fact that like performers and wrestlers and production and things like that, like
if it's actually 20%, I just doubt the fact that it's actually 20%. I think they say
outdoors,
these things. Outdoors is a plus, huge plus.
Socially distanced seating chart, 20% capacity, and GCW has run a few events. They're the ones that were running those events. Well, Bloodsport is one of the ones that's going to be happening as well. Joey Janela's Spring Break, Effie's Big Gay Brunch. And then there's one called For the Culture, which is mostly focused on Black and people of color. And
that's cool. I didn't know
so
that existed. There's a ton of these events that I didn't know that GCW partnered with or worked with that are new to me. I knew, of course, Joey Janela. I knew a handful of them, but I didn't know a lot of these.
Yeah, so they're going to be. There's a bunch of stuff. There's going to be a couple that look like strictly deathmatch oriented. There's one called Unsanctioned. One's called Planet Death. Yeah.
Well,
we've got. I'm gonna.
Sorry.
Let's see.
We'll see. I mean, I will say, Duncan, that it's something that I've been looking at. I've been meaning to mention to you. Have you heard that Mayhem on Mills is coming back? And I'll send you some links about this. They've got an outdoor venue on Mills Avenue here in town.
Is this the one where they shut down the street and
That's what they have done previously. I believe that they have almost been able to make a new park/outdoor venue where they can set up a wrestling ring, and we might have to go to this.
I'm down.
Yeah. So and it's like super socially distanced and all that sort of thing. But
yeah, dude, I go to Disney. I wear a mask.
Yeah, I know.
So talking about WWE, that's where you were going. I do have one topic that I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if right now is an okay time or not. Owen, I know you have your own agenda.
No.
You are the captain of this shit.
No. This is not. This is our shit, bro. Like you bring up whatever you want. I
will say, as of 1 week, or not 1 week, 1 day away. So tomorrow, February 10th. Will be the last time that Samoa Joe wrestled.
Wow.
In the WWE. It's been now 1 full year, so it is a fateful day. So, what would you guys want to see for Samoa Joe? And knowing we all love Samoa Joe, right? And he's been riddled with injuries every time he comes back.
And then he popped on the wellness policy.
Yeah. And do you think commentary suits him better now? And do you think he does that, or would you want to see him do one more run and try and get after it one more time if he's cleared? And how would you see that run happening?
I got a couple things for this. First, I think he's been doing fantastic on commentary, and I think that he has adapted very, very well to this. I do feel bad that he hasn't had the run, but I'm going to do a little quick fantasy booking on this one. And it's assuming that, of course, Roman Reigns retains the title at WrestleMania. You don't bring in Samoa Joe before WrestleMania, but what you can do is set up a slight feud with Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, which has been brewing in the background for a while. Yeah. What you can then have happen is that they have so much respect for each other that they partner with each other. And then you can have a Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso feud. And I think that right there is how you help Samoa Joe with a failing body as a pro wrestler, as a guy that can't do it 100%, but you have him team with Seth, and there's built-in storyline all the way through for it. That's how I book that.
I'm not against that because you have the Samoan roots running all the way through.
Yep.
You're able to then apply that to the storyline and have it so that you have it on both sides of the card.
Protect Seth's character.
You let Seth do a good amount of that technical heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. And because of the relationship that Seth has with Roman, it would work really well. And then because of all of the Samoan ties that are already there,
you could do a Samoa Joe Roman match where Roman basically it's an I retire match or an I quit, whatever it is.
Yeah. I'm not against any of that.
I'm not either. But what I would do,
it's a good fantasy booking.
I would keep him away from the title scene, keep him away from I would basically have it be start off with a match against Cesaro, start off with a match, you know what I mean? Something like this.
Have him do a tour of putting people over.
My ultimate goal is him and Daniel Bryan reignite their Ring of Honor blood feud.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I want to see, I don't want Joe to have a long return. I want it to be a couple matches, three matches.
3 pay-per-views, over 3 months or something like that.
Joe beats D-Bry. D-Bry beats Joe. Joe does the honors on his way out, or D-Bry does the honors.
I'm fine with those both. I'm fine with that too.
So I think both of these ideas have legs, and WWE will be expecting our check.
Yeah. What if you have him on the outside of the ring, and he runs, and he jumps, and whoever's on the outside of the ring rolls away, and he lands on his asshole on the curtain on the ring, and he yells, "My hole!"
My hole,
like Nia Jax.
Good God, that is one of the major parts of the Monday Night Raw review, essentially, from last night. Do you think that was intentional? Do you think that was intentional, or do you think that was reactionary? This
Who the fuck has ever yelled my hole?
I've never. No,
it was a bet.
My hole?
It was backstage. It was somebody was just like, "I bet you can't find a way to scream my hole." While the cameras are live.
If you haven't seen it, everybody, just go. No, WWE's actually deleted, I think, a lot of that.
It's
from
on
YouTube.
Fucking Twitter. Just go on Twitter.
Yeah.
The internet lives forever. And someone did I I forget what fucking Led Zeppelin song, but they did a My Whole Led Zeppelin like remix with that, and it was fucking hilarious.
Like My Whole Lot of Love.
Yeah,
it was like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Nia Jax ends up getting the the bump on the edge of the apron, lands right
The
under
hardest part of the ring.
hardest
in
part of the
case you
ring.
don't know ring.
I didn't know that. Duncan, can you elaborate?
Yeah,
well,
the hardest
I
part of
mean,
the ring.
Just that
That's all I
I've been
need to know?
told. That's why I've been
ask
told
Michael
is that the
Cole.
apron.
Ask Michael
Ask
Cole.
Excalibur.
Ask anyone.
Ask anyone. They'll tell you.
But yes,
Apron, hardest part of the ring.
she lands right on her tailbone, and it does look like a pretty bad bump. And she screams first. I think she screams, "What, my ass or my butt?" Like something.
She screams something, and she kind of grabs it, and she's walking away. And then like that's where people speculate that like, oh, it actually hurt. Like that's the go home. Like now she like finished the match, right? But she yelled "my hole."
She yelled that afterwards. She yelled that afterwards. She's like,
it was before they finished, because before she got tackled on the outside of the ring is when it happened, and yeah.
I wonder if she pulled an X-Pac and tore her ass.
Ooh, we can only hope, since she's not on TV for a while.
I mean, at least we're talking about her because of this and not because she almost killed somebody on TV.
Yes.
Yeah, but luckily she almost killed herself. Like, I mean, come on, she's
such a botch machine that she
botched herself. She botched her a-hole.
She literally jabroned her a-hole.
Yeah, come on.
And here's what's funny about that too, is that after that match, you had Lana finally, I guess getting her comeuppance. Like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like much.
That's just how we're gonna call that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Book it.
That's the payoff, I suppose, of the Lana.
After all of that, after all the tables, after all that shit, that's
Lana puts her through a table once, and I guess sort of by accident.
Breaks her butthole. I don't know.
Breaks her butthole. Hey, what is it? Karma, right? It goes round and round.
Yeah, broken assholes.
Round and round. But then you got like Shayna Baszler out on Raw. And like this whole thing is like, you got, Shayna and Nia, they're tag team champions. And now we've got Lana putting through Nia through a table, but finally.
You got Naomi in there.
And then Naomi, who like has now become, Lana's new best buddy. And I'll say that Shayna Baszler has like the best and worst like thing going on right now. What she is good at is wrestling and also putting her hands on her hips and looking really mad. She is really good at that move.
Very good at that.
But that's all she's been like left to do for a long time. Shayna and Naomi rather had a pretty good little match. It wasn't anything like, it was a Raw match. It was exactly what you'd expect from a Raw match. But, Naomi with some, essentially, like, in the match, Shayna gets distracted by Lana, who's still out there from the match prior, because Naomi's her buddy now for whatever reason. But Shayna goes and like decides to just like kick the shit out of Lana, and she does kick the shit out of Lana. It was like, looks really tough. But then like, hops back in the ring. Naomi's in there, and classic, WWE Raw style. Gets beat up by a roll-up, beating...
Yeah, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be?
Naomi beating Shayna Baszler. Now, I can actually see that being a decent match in the future, to be honest with you. Naomi and Shayna Baszler can actually work, so I don't hate that completely, but just, Nia Jax, come on. Can we not? Can we just not with it?
How are you not done?
How are you fired?
Because everybody likes her backstage.
Because she's nice, and The Rock and whatnot. Probably something to do with that.
Yeah, but niceness doesn't fucking get you anywhere else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like in other jobs and that can't be like the people who are booking it. It can't just be because you're fucking nice.
if
like,
they had
what is really going on there? People have been let go. People have had shitty bookings, shitty storylines. Is it just like, what the fuck is it?
They want a big dominant woman, and they only have one other one. I guess typically it would be Tamina. So you're left with the two choices, and they go with her, and that's just that.
Well, because Tamina's on SmackDown, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Even the fucking leg drop that she did, I was just like, God, that looked so fucking bad. Like the way that Nia would just off the rope and I was like, God, I haven't done a leg drop since I was in like middle school or fucking, high school against my sister on the trampoline or something like that, but like I guarantee you,
we could all do a better leg drop than that.
You lay down in front of me, even on a fucking concrete pad, and I will do a better goddamn leg drop than that. I saw this past Monday.
I support that statement. The biggest news, of course, really on Monday Night Raw was that Shane is back. Not really, but he was back to announce to
explain Raw Underground.
Well, he came out of, it's been a weird haze induced. He's been living technically underground. We don't want to call it Raw Underground.
He's been trapped in there with those strippers. He's just been banging those strippers.
He's been Raw Underground.
Everybody left. The cocaine ran out.
He's like, fuck, I better get back to my job.
He's a McMahon. The cocaine never runs out.
Right?
But he made the announcement for the participants in and how this year's elimination chamber is going to work, which is kind of interesting too, because of course we've got like elimination chamber. It seems is shaping up to be a like almost a Raw only pay-per-view. Every participant in the elimination chamber, right, were Raw, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they won't have a SmackDown elimination chamber.
Right. We'll get to that in just a second, but AJ, Jeff Hardy, Orton, The Miz, Sheamus, and Drew for Drew's title. Now this seems a little unfair for Drew, but what do they do here? You think
well, and then we saw Sheamus come out, during the match last night, which also, when he came out, because I was watching it or live, or else I wouldn't have known this, but like he came out, and I don't know what happened earlier in the night that would have possibly spawned this, but he ran out, interfered in the match, and then like and then he just kind of like
the week before. It was the week before,
and then he's like holding his fucking midsection, like, and I'm like, why? What are you selling? Run out like nothing's wrong, and why are you selling now? Your rib cage is fucking hurt.
Yeah, I didn't catch that part, but I will say that by Sheamus, and this was a non-title match between Drew and Randy. Sheamus comes in, interferes, means to kick Drew, accidentally kicks Randy. They award Drew the match. They play his music at the end of the match. They raise his hand. In my, I know wrestling is wrestling, but as far as I know the rules, typically, wouldn't that, like, if I'm accidentally kick Randy, that's always been that now Randy wins the match. DQ. He won by DQ. So, and then they made it seem like Drew won the match because Drew beat up Sheamus afterwards. Raw. So that annoyed me. I didn't like that. And I'm not a huge fan of the elimination chamber like step. I guess like this is a chance to I don't know, like Drew kind of has to
wait because like
I don't know.
They're like they just announced the first couple matches, so like I'm not gonna.
Well, they've announced 3 title matches for this pay-per-view already.
Great. They still have to announce them on SmackDown. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So, like,
that's true.
It's not just gonna be those 3 matches. There
will
at least be 2 matches from SmackDown,
and they'll more than likely do 2 elimination chamber matches. And,
exactly.
And last year they did the tag team elimination chamber match.
And
so
maybe they'll do a women's elimination chamber match,
whatever the next match is will more than likely be SmackDown based. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I think you're gonna have 3 matches be SmackDown based, 3 matches be Raw based, and you know what I mean. Probably go from there.
And we do
it's
have
not the pay-per-view that we have to worry about.
No, it isn't. But we do also have Keith Lee, Riddle, Lashley for the U.S. title, which that's going to be. I think that's cool. And the development with that was, it's interesting to me just because like I don't know exactly what they're doing with this. Like if this is who this is a build for, because I'm confused. Like who am I supposed to be like supporting here? And I mean, obviously we're supposed to be booing Lashley, but now is this just a chance to make Lashley look bigger and better? I don't really understand what they're 100%
so
doing.
Riddle can eat the pin and Lashley still looks strong.
And then you got Asuka and Lacey Evans, for the belt and with, Flair. So there's that, like I can see that going, bad and going to fucking Lacey Evans. Like I don't really want it, but it might happen. Like, I don't know.
It's still like, we still got like 2 or 3 weeks of TV before we have to even think about that. Like everything's going to change anyway.
True. That's true.
Andrade's gonna show up. Andrade and Charlotte versus Lacey. Like it's gonna happen.
I like that. I still like that. Do we want to do predictions?
Yes.
Let's get into it.
All right. Well, Duncan, you might even be going to this, right? You might even be attending this event.
We will see.
Oh, is that the generic? Like I'm in a Dunder Mifflin commercial.
Yeah. That's good.
I am in Scranton.
That's what's good for this.
That is the exact same music they used in that episode.
Is it really?
When they did the commercial.
I did not know that. Well, there you go. Welcome to Scranton, and let's do some predictions for NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. We got 5 matches. Which match do you think goes on first, Duncan?
I will bet. Oh, man.
It's tag team.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be the men's tag team.
Men's tag team match, which right now we'll start with that. And
which is difficult for all.
You didn't ask me, but sorry.
Well, you don't, I'll ask you the next one. So right now, yes, it seems like they will probably be having a match tomorrow on NXT, so which will decide the last 2 teams. But right now we have 4 teams still in it. So why don't you give us the rundown, Duncan?
So we got MSK, which is Wes Lee and Nash Carter versus Legado del Fantasma, Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde.
So that'll logically be tomorrow night.
I think both of these matches will be tomorrow night.
Yeah, so it's the men's Dusty Rhodes tag team semifinals. So that's the first match. I don't know who I pick with that, but that's not really what we're here to pick. What we're here to pick is the winner.
No.
But can we pick without knowing the actual?
It's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard, but we do have 4. We have 4 teams to choose from, so I think we do pick. Because
my gut reaction is MSK.
But then we got Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, or the Grizzled Young Veterans, which would be a second match on tomorrow night's show. So then deciding who would be in the finals. So it's sort of think of it as a 4-way for right now, but really it's 2 matches then deciding the match for the actual show.
But also does screw you over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we're all at the same disadvantage, so it's not like any of one of us is getting an advantage on it. I say we still pick from it and pick one of the 4 teams, who you think's going to go all the way.
MSK.
Grizzled Young Veterans.
Okay. All right. Matthew, you went MSK. And Duncan, you're going Grizzled Young Veterans.
I'm going Grizzled Young Vets.
And that's actually what I had already picked myself. I've got it
Then
highlighted
I am
and
going
everything.
with Ciampa and Thatcher.
Oh, really? You're changing just because of it.
Because
Yeah,
we're probably
absolutely.
all going to be similar on the rest of this card.
Exactly. I pretty much everything else is going to be, I feel, pretty close.
Good job, Duncan.
So
way to wild card that shit.
So
Yeah.
TC and TH. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Matthew, then I asked Duncan what he thought the first match would be. What do you think the second match on this card is going to be?
Probably the women's match.
Yeah, the triple threat.
Triple threat.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Io Shirai, Mercedes Martinez, and Toni Storm.
Storm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm stuck on this one. I feel like you could do I think Toni Storm is going to win. That's not a prediction yet, but I feel like she's going to win. If not, then I feel like it's almost like Io Shirai does a roll-up pin, wins, and then you end up eventually getting to the Toni Storm show. So I'm going to go Toni Storm because eventually it's going to happen. So I'm going to hedge my bets.
All right. With triple threats, it's typically one of those things, right? Someone's kind of maybe thrown in there to get pinned so that the champion doesn't get pinned, still look strong, but we can change the championship, that type of deal.
Yeah.
So I understand your logic there a little bit. What are you thinking, Duncan?
I think Io Shirai probably retains.
Okay, that's interesting because I'm going with Mercedes Martinez on this one.
Oh.
And the reason with this one is I think that Mercedes Martinez somehow sneakily gets the win over Toni Storm, gets the pin over Toni Storm. That's my...
To keep things going there? Do you think that's then...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what they're doing. Third match of the evening. Probably Johnny Gargano, Kushida, right?
I was just going to say, yeah.
Probably Gargano, Kushida.
Kushida.
Duncan, what are you thinking?
Kushida.
Yep. Okay. Think they changed that
Gargano.
title, huh?
I think they should. I think they should put the title on Kushida.
Okay.
Because he is a really good wrestler.
Oh, he's entertaining. We saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And he's even more he's even better than he's, I think, really been given the chance to sort of prove. And I think you could put the belt on him, put some eyes on him, and then he doesn't necessarily need to hold on to it for a long time. It's sort of like Leon Ruff, right? Like he could have it for a minute and
yeah, no, that's a good show. That's a good show. What about you, Matthew?
Gargano to retain. I think you're going to make one title change during this, and I don't think it's this one. I think if you're going to get Gargano to drop the belt, you're going to do it over Mania weekend.
I actually almost have the same exact logic, and that's why I'm also going Gargano. So I think you're right on that. Next match, logically, it would have to be the women's tag team, right?
Right. Yeah, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez have been solidified, like they are in the finals. So tomorrow night we'll have Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus The Way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
And I didn't realize this too, because I haven't been watching a ton of NXT, but the winners apparently will also receive a future WWE Women's Tag Team match.
Yeah, I think it's because the men's Dusty Rhodes.
Well, they have a tag team championship on NXT,
exactly.
So
they don't have a women's tag team championship,
right?
So they've got But I also think that that's a really good way to bring up whomever you want to bring up.
Good call.
And that is why I am going with Ember and Shotzi.
Exactly my reasoning, because Ember has already been on the main roster for a short period. Shotzi, they've definitely tried to be. She's she is just. I mean, she looks like a main roster product.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
She's very
more.
marketable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The tank is over as fuck.
Oh yeah, you can sell toys of that tank, man. Like how they have it yet.
Oh, the helmet. You could sell toys.
Of the helmet.
The helmet all day long.
Yeah. So you're Ember Moon. I'm Ember Moon. Shotzi Blackheart as well. What are your thoughts, Matthew?
I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna say Dakota Kai, and I'm gonna say
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
They would be my second choice. They would be my second choice.
And I'm only gonna say, because you guys made such great points, I'm only saying that because you almost swayed me in the way that you guys were talking about it, because it 100% makes sense. One, with Ember Moon. Two, with the way that, especially with Shotzi Blackheart being in the Women's Royal Rumble and the tank coming out and things like that, and like introducing her more to the main roster and to, like, you know, the fans of, you know, the main fans, you know, not just NXT fans. I think it makes sense, but I think they're just gonna test it out just a little bit more before they pull that fucking trigger.
And you might be right. The only thing I'm thinking about is Ember and Shotzi winning the women's tag team title.
And see, that's what it makes perfect sense.
So
like I said,
good,
you guys almost,
too.
and it would be so good because that would bring so much new life into the fucking women's tag division in WWE. It would be fucking great.
It would be a well-needed injection of adrenaline that division needs.
I hope
Honestly,
I'm fucking wrong.
Yeah,
I hope I'm fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I would say Candice and Indy, but I don't see them sending them up to the main roster, and it's kind of a waste of a women's tag.
The way feels like a very NXT thing that's working, and I think the way is just going to be an NXT thing. Like that doesn't have much main roster potential in my opinion. I don't think
so. Not like Undisputed Era does.
No. Then we go to
Era can go main roster and be okay, but the way stays NWO, stays NXT.
NXT, absolutely. Final match of the evening, of course, Finn Balor as champion versus Pete Dunne. Now there is a for sure what I want on this one and what I think on this one. That are you know, at
very
odds,
100%
at odds with each other. I really want Pete Dunne to win this match. I don't think I'm champion. I don't have to announce it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Finn Balor wins this match.
I think so too. I think if Finn's going to, again, what a better place to give it up than on like a takeover over Mania weekend or a bigger weekend. You don't need to do it now, but like, you can continue to build. Like, he can win in a shitty way.
Yeah.
And you can keep it going.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what'll happen.
It's just like, what do you do with Dunne afterwards then? Like, what do you do
if he wins in a shitty way?
Oh, can I say this little, like, just fact of trivia, too, by the way, that I learned today? And it applies completely to this. Let me just pull it at the note, because I want to get it right.
The longest reigning...
It is not. It is that Finn Balor has now spent more days in NXT than on the main roster. Between his 2 runs in NXT,
interesting.
He is, as of like today or yesterday or something, like he is now spent more time in NXT than on the main roster. I think you pull Pete. I think you do pull.
Fucking crushing it.
I think you pull Pete Dunne up to the main roster. I think that's exactly what you do.
But where does he go? What does he do? Like, yeah, you pull him.
They
up
don't
to the main
care.
Roster, and I know they don't care.
They just want the name. Yeah.
I will say this: you put him over on SmackDown, and you have him have a match with Daniel Bryan, and let Daniel Bryan help build him and put him over. That's what you do if you're me.
I would see that Daniel.
I would watch that
and
strong
then
fucking
Cesaro.
technical match. Yeah.
Yep.
And then and then Pete Dunne and Nakamura. Okay.
Yep.
So did you guys recently? I read this recently too. We've been talking about Nakamura, how he got his new intro music, and like we're hoping. Now, I just read, and whatever, it's a dirt sheet, but recently that his new job, and he's been instructed, is to just put talent over.
Oh, well.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna also go with Finn Balor.
We're all going Balor. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
because I think
seem...
we all want Dunn to win.
We do. I think so.
I just don't know like where he goes or where Finn goes after that. And that's the problem is if there's no obvious sort of direction, then I feel like you're sort of just gonna stick with what's known.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, those are predictions. We'll wrap up the show with just a couple little things.
That's a pretty. That's been one of the more varied predictions.
Yeah,
it has. Yeah, and you guys thought we were all going to go for the same shit, so that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got a chance in this fight. So
still glad I threw my wild card.
Fighting champion. You know me.
You don't have a choice.
Exactly. A couple little things. I watched Talking Smack for the first time in a long time the other night. And I will say this, Kayla Braxton and Paul Heyman work really well together. I guess they're like the hosts of it. Like it's the two of them every week. I didn't even realize that. Big
yeah, because Paul Heyman is always like talking shit to somebody and trying to motivate them.
Yeah, well, Kayla Braxton and him have seriously like, just a great chemistry. Big E and Heyman on Talking Smack. If you haven't seen it, fucking check it out. It's really interesting because of how much he puts like Big E over. Tells him that one day, like you know, you're gonna be a big star. Do you think that there's a possibility that one day you could have Big E as a Paul Heyman guy?
Behind the scenes, yes.
Yeah, behind the scenes, yes.
I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs him as a Paul Heyman guy.
No.
As a mouthpiece in the ring.
No. Probably
he
right.
handles his own and has proved that he can do it on his own.
Yeah.
Oh,
and also
like he's got the charisma. And he's got
you have
the skill.
to split the New Day up even more to make that happen. Have him turn on the New Day to really sort of solidify his place as a Heyman guy. I think because Heyman guys have to have that heel tendency, right? Especially now.
It's a very good point, but
they're not Curtis Axel and Cesaro anymore.
I think behind the scenes though too that Heyman would actually love for his whatever he is. What is he? Is his he's counsel to Roman Reigns, special counsel to Roman Reigns. I think that he actually would really like to have the Big E Roman match that we've all kind of wanted to see. I think Heyman's on board with that. I think that's maybe even something that Roman's on board with.
I think everybody is. It's just that long-term storytelling.
But you can't, and you also can't have Heyman on both sides.
Right.
He also said that Bianca Belair, like he was very, positive towards Bianca Belair and said this is not a prediction, it's a spoiler. You will go to WrestleMania and you will come out as a champion. To Bianca Belair.
Do it.
So
fucking do it.
That's really cool. I think
it's not a question of if, but when. It's just a question of if it's this year or next year.
And there's a whole like other storyline going on with Heyman and Pierce that's happening on Talking Smack. Like the stuff that they're doing on Talking Smack is actually kind of smart. Like it's the new kayfabe, if you will. Like it's real, but it's not. But it's real, but it's not. And you gotta guess, and you gotta all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see Kayla Braxton saying calling Damian Priest DP with R-Truth there?
I did.
And then R-Truth being, I forget what he says, but alludes to the fact that she said DP, and he's like, oh, she knows what she's saying, she loves it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And looks over at Damian Priest, and he's like, yeah, it's great, DP, or something like that. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, that's a little bit innuendo.
That's a little spicy right there.
Just a little spicy.
Yeah.
A little spicy.
Do you guys see real quick? Did you guys see that Lars Sullivan, recently released WWE talent, posted today the concept art of what his character was going to be apparently in the next few months?
I didn't see that.
All I saw was a picture of him wearing like a bowler hat.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So it was called the idea was the Brilliant Behemoth. And you can find this, I'm sure, on Lars Sullivan's tweets or just searching.
Just
on
type
the
in
internet.
WWE Lars Sullivan, you got it.
Yeah,
I just did that.
and he's like, he's wearing kind
horrible.
of.
He looks horrible.
He's like a Peaky Blinder, suspender, Doctor Who. I don't know.
With the Mr. Fuji hat.
It might be one of those things that if he wasn't a complete shitbag, that I might have actually, like, I don't know. I might have gone with. I don't hate it as much as maybe you guys do. It's so bad.
I don't necessarily hate it. It's not like the Revivals gimmick. You know what I mean? Like nobody's wearing a Flava Flav clock.
It's a step above that for damn sure.
It's true. It's well above
maybe
that.
a step and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Not very much, but a little bit.
It's like MJF meets Wardlow.
And the last
That's exactly it.
And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that WWE Creative apparently got nothing for Murphy. And
oh yeah, ever since his whole little I'm in love with Aaliyah Mysterio thing.
Right. So that's why he's not been on TV. That's why, we've not seen a ton of him. I think in a time, in a day and age where we're struggling in WWE for good tag teams, you've already had the Forgotten Sons have their breakup. You fired one of the guys. One of the guys is with Elias. The only other guy that you have is
crazy
Blake.
That they didn't fire the other one.
Yeah, well, they fired the wrong one. They missed Vince, probably
They literally missed the wrong one.
They fired the wrong one.
They fired Deanna Purrazzo's boyfriend.
But could we do a Blake and Murphy reunion? Because I'd be all right with it.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, fine,
you don't have to have Alexa with them. Obviously, Alexa's doing other things at this point. But a Blake and Murphy reunion seems like it would work, especially again at a time where we could use a little bit of tag team stuff. Like we haven't had a tag team match on at least the last pay-per-view. I don't know. I don't remember the last tag team match we had on WWE television that was worth a shit.
That was worth a shit.
Well,
I was gonna say that.
Well, who are they? Who are even the champions right now? I cannot name.
Street Profits.
No, isn't it? Didn't they get beat by Ziggler and Rude?
Oh, they did. It's
I think it's
the
them.
Rude Boys.
The Rude Boys.
Ziggles and Bobby Roode.
And then who's on the Raw side? I've literally already forgotten because we don't see them on television.
Who is it?
Who is it? I can't legitimately not remember.
It's not the New Day, is it?
No, New Day dropped it.
No,
who did they drop it to? Was it Street Profits?
Well, no, they had to do the change they changed the belts and that whole thing. I cannot.
Google it. I'll Google it real quick.
I was like,
yeah, someone Google it.
Hey Siri.
Yeah.
Who are the Raw Tag Team Champions?
Let's see. We have.
Oh my God.
Oh, it sounds like you actually got it.
I'm working on it. No, it's the Hurt Business.
Oh, duh. Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. Yeah. But they don't necessarily do a ton of tag team matches. The Hurt Business. Yeah. It's easy to forget that when they're
less of a tag team and they're just a tag team because they're part of the same faction.
That's exactly what. Yeah. That's a very good way to put it.
So I don't,
So if they did a, tag team elimination chamber, I don't know that they have enough tag teams on either side, Raw or SmackDown, to be able to pull it off. I mean, maybe if you threw them together, sure, but
fuck, dude, that's tough.
Yeah, if you did a tag team elimination chamber on either side, I don't know if what do you need? 6 teams?
Yeah.
So fucking Street
Dude, we're gonna be
Profits.
hard pressed to come
You
up
have to
with
do
6
Raw
teams.
versus SmackDown.
Between the two,
do
but
Raw.
even between the two brands, you'd be hard pressed to come
It's
up.
hard pressed. Yeah.
We need the Usos back. We need the Usos back.
Yeah.
That's something we need.
We need the vaudevillains back.
Well, that ain't happening. Heavy Machinery. Why did we break them up?
That's what I was gonna say. Why'd you do that?
You know, that would have worked.
I think they really thought that Otis was going to be
like
a fucking superstar, and they couldn't have been more wrong.
And the Viking
about that.
Raiders.
Yeah, well, dude broke his neck, so we'll give him a pass.
He'll give him, and then is he the one who his wife just had the baby?
No, it's the other one. That Eric had the baby with Sarah Logan.
Sarah Logan, yeah.
Which when they come back, put the 3 of them together, make them a
apparently.
Mini little
Well,
thing.
she got released on Black Friday.
Oh, did she? Yeah, you're right. You're right. She did.
But apparently, she was in labor for 44 fucking hours.
Ooh,
fuck my life.
That's a big baby.
Good on her, dude. That's
what I'm saying.
Strong fucking woman.
She probably only did it using ancient Norse remedies of like.
Yeah, there was a lot of leather and like blood and like
Yeah, a lot of weird runes and fucking swords and shit. I don't even know.
For any of our fans out there, if you can come up with 6 legitimate tag teams for Elimination Chamber, let us know. Because
legitimate tag teams, not bullshit tag teams.
Because it's hard to do. It's hard to do in the WWE. It's very hard to do. I mean, you could if you're doing it as just like you're doing the Raw tag team.
New Day, Hurt Business.
Okay.
New Day, Hurt Business,
Street Profits,
Rude Boys,
who have the title.
And then it's like
4. We just need 2 more.
Bollywood Boys.
Bollywood Boys.
Yeah.
Haven't been seen on the main roster since the gender experiment.
Fuck, who else on SmackDown? That's what you need the Usos. You're right. You definitely need Usos.
Yeah.
You need the Usos back. And then but who else is there?
I don't know. The last 2, we can't find them. They're hiding in the boiler room somewhere.
Yep. Well, Underground Raw.
Yeah. They're hanging with Shane.
Raw Underground, rather.
The strippers and cocaine. It's gonna drive us crazy because I know that there are.
I know there are too. Forgotten Sons were one, but that's not a thing anymore. So that's
gone. Do you count Elias and fucking Dum Dum?
Have they even had a tag team match? I don't think they have.
They did.
I think they might have had one. No, they did have a tag team match, so you could. They did. Whatever brand they were on a week or 2 ago.
But it's the same as when they just shoved
Miz and
Morris,
John Morrison.
But it's the same as when they shoved Nia and Shayna together. They're just like, you're a tag team now, and they're just like.
Well, you can't really put Miz and Morrison in a chamber match because Miz is in the men's eliminated chamber match.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And he has the briefcase for that, so that's gonna be.
And they need to figure out a way to get that motherfucker off him or have him just lose, because. I came up with the concept that in this whole feud, they just need to have Damian Priest win it and then have something exciting happen with that briefcase, because otherwise there's nothing else going on. That would be, having Damian Priest with the briefcase, and he's allowed to keep it beyond WrestleMania until the next Money in the Bank. That would work for me. And have him he doesn't even have to win anything, but have him, take it. It's unexpected. He gets
I would love to see him cash in after a match. I know Seth did it but to make it a triple threat. But dude, can you imagine Damian Priest coming out after a banger of a match between Drew and whoever, and you know what I mean? Picture, and then Damian Priest comes out and establishes himself as this real prick of a heel.
That's the thing. Right now, they are billing him very much as a face, and are they billing him to work up to Roman? And I don't know which way they're gonna go with him, but he is on Raw, so one would think that
Retribution. You could put in a tag team from Retribution.
Someone from Facebook, I don't have the name, but says bring up an NXT tag team and put Usos back in the ring in our chat, and that's a that's a logical thing. Yeah. What NXT team do you bring up? Do you bring up Undisputed Era?
Do you think you add Damian Priest to Retribution?
No, because Damian Priest is going to be rolling around with Bad Bunny.
He's a singles guy.
Yeah, I don't see that.
No, he's definitely a singles guy. They're putting him with Bad Bunny so that he gets a lot of attention.
And Bad Bunny's been and he's been training at the Performance Center apparently because there's going to be a big Mania moment.
Yeah, it'll be John Morris.
Going to be the next.
It'll be John Morrison and Miz versus fucking Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and somehow the Money in the Bank briefcase will be on the line.
Of course, it will.
That's my prediction on that. It's been about 2 hours, boys. So you guys
Lucha House Party.
Lucha House Party, yeah. I'm thrilled.
Even though they've been chilling down at NXT, but
Mysterio family, Shinsuke and Cesaro.
Yeah, I don't know that they're a thing anymore, are they?
And that's sort of the thing, is none of us know anything anymore.
Just okay, so what it should be is that it should just be the grizzled young veterans come up after winning the Dusty Rhodes Classic, get in there, and then actually make a name for themselves on the roster by winning the Elimination Tag Team Chamber. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. They're just the grizzled young vets, I don't know if they'd hit on the main roster. That's the only thing.
Yeah, they're not really.
Yeah, exactly.
Mustache Mountain?
Oh, man. I miss Mustache Mountain.
You could. I mean, they might hit on the main roster. They could do something with. They could
because the British strong style is they are funny and
hard hitting.
Take them seriously.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I could see that. That'd be good. I'd love that, actually.
Yeah, no, that's my pick now.
Just fucking Walter.
Oh God, if he didn't hate America so much, he would be a top star already.
He makes so much money in America. He makes
so much money. Yeah. Him and Joe. Well, I was gonna say him and Joe, but him and Keith Lee. Him and any big boy.
Dude, he used to. I think he was the PWG champion for years.
I think he was. Yeah, he definitely held it.
Yeah, he definitely held it, and he held it fairly. Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I don't think it's as much as he hates America as he likes not living in America.
Oh, much. We're not living in America, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So
on that note,
to Vengeance Day. Let's have some fun watching that this Sunday. I think that's a good place for us to wrap things up, unless any of you, or either of you rather, have something you want to throw out there last minute.
No, hopefully I will be in the crowd at Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
I will rig the election to make sure that I am the new champion.
Yeah, he's gonna do what that streaker did at the Super Bowl and make sure
exactly.
I
actually was wearing that on Sunday.
Yeah, he's
actually underneath your Jay Dilla shirt right now.
Well, look, man, I didn't want to. I'm trying to be comfy under here.
Yep. Well, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, he's gonna take out Gargano. He's gonna get Kushida to win, so he gets that extra point.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
We know what you're doing.
Marty.
Duncan's actually going to win Vengeance Day, all of the matches.
Yeah.
By storming the ring.
Didn't know that I actually had I just come out at the end of the night and I just have all of the belts, just fucking.
Yeah.
How did this fucking happen?
He's like, yeah. Duncan's like, oh, you thought Kenny Omega was gonna fucking win all five? I
look
just
at
won
this
all five in
Infinity Gauntlet,
NXT.
bitches.
Yeah.
Who's the real best in the world now, Mr. Omega?
Oh, and then we have a Duncan versus Kenny Omega match.
Duncan versus Kenny Omega match?
That's
for all the titles.
Dream booking.
I don't know if I can handle that. My brain will explode.
Five titles versus 5 titles.
10-star match. That's what that is.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the OHNO Wrestling Podcast this evening. Hopefully it's been working for you viewers over there on the Facebooks. It's our first time trying out some new software and putting it over on there, so we've been live in 2 places. If you are listening to this on the podcast, you can check us out on twitch.tv/ONRS Live every single week on Tuesdays. It's usually around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. You can do the same apparently now over on our Facebook group, OHNO Wrestling, OHNO space wrestling. Join the group. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of good times. And now you can even check out the show live and comment along in that very group. That being said, we do have a Patreon. If you'd like to throw us a couple extra bucks, hard-earned monies of yours, that's over at patreon.com/ONRS. We love you. And check out OhnoWrestling.com, OhnoMedia.com, OhnoRadioShow.com. OHNO Radio Show, our flagship show, will be live again on Thursdays, like it always is. Whew. And that being said, what do we say when we get out of here, boys?